Okay, Beautiful Life Lab. I want to make sure this is streaming, so let me pull up our group. If you are here and you're live, say hello in the comments. Let us know where you're streaming in from. Let us know if you are new to the lab or returning as an alumni. As you know, with my programs, once you're in, you're in. And we hope that you'll join us each year as we get up to this most important work. For those of you that are live, please let me know that I'm good to go for video and audio. Just let me know if you can hear me okay. And while I'm waiting on someone to give me the heads up, I'm just gonna make sure that we're, okay, we've got our questions there. Okay. Yes, still in Facebook jail. Yes, I am. So real quick, if you're hopping in, you will notice that I am streaming live from the HOLFIT admin account, which says Jill Brown. That is my assistant. I've had to get creative over the last few weeks because I've been put in some sort of Facebook jail. It's been happening every other day. It tells me you're gonna be allowed to come back on Facebook tomorrow, and then I come back on for 2 minutes and it bumps me out again. I don't know what's going on. I do have my thoughts on what's going on, but in any case, I am not going anywhere. Good luck, Facebook. I've got a whole bunch of backup plans. Anyway, enough of that. Guys, I am so stoked you're here. I am giddy excited for us to kick off this work together for many reasons. I think top of mind, the most pressing reason is because if you purchased the lab last year in its launch year, then you probably would have felt last year at this time like, all right, got some work to do. I'm excited to dive in. And you got all, you had the worksheets for the lab, and we kicked off last year. We kicked off our assignments in December. And for a lot of you, that's a really busy time of year, right? Especially if you celebrate the holidays, Christmas, etc. That could have felt like a real time crunch for you. And so this year, having gone through a lot of this year with the work and in the heart set and mindset of the work of the lab, you're probably feeling really pumped to go into this in a fresh way and with this perspective of knowing the work, right? If you're brand new to the lab, we're starting a little earlier this year, so you're not going to feel that same sense of stress and urgency as there can be a lot of those feelings as we get ready for a new year, right? There's a lot of pressure, it seems, a lot of expectations, a lot of stories around the new year. All we're doing here in this lab is capitalizing on taking a point in the year, and for us here, we're looking at January 1st as hitting that next chapter of going into it with a very clear perspective on where we've been and where we're going. So let's just start off there. Say hi if you're new. Say hi if you're returning. We, in this live stream together, I'm going to go for 60 minutes. And I have a couple of things I want to make sure we cover off together. I first want to take you on a quick tour of your program book. I want to make sure that you know all that you have available to you. Now, one of the things I hope you know, because you're here in the Facebook group, one of the things I want to make sure that you have had a look through are the units in our lab Facebook group, because what I've done there is I've taken the program book, which is 75 pages, and I've created chapters, if you will. It's a nice organized way of moving through the content. So whenever you're looking for something, if you don't want to have to pull up your ebook to find what you're looking for, just head over to the units of this group, because you're going to find everything you need there, especially the worksheets I'm going to show you today, as nice quick links, and everything's organized in the sequence that you want to be doing it. Okay. So I want to take a quick tour through the program book. You're welcome to pull it up if you have another device going somewhere in your iPad, iPhone, whatever. I also want to talk about the assignments that we're going to be doing, which begin this week on Friday, okay? So here I have, many of you have probably seen this in your program book. This is the order of the 10 assignments we're going to do together. The reason that I do this is we do more together as a group than we do on our own. And for those of you that may have jumped into the lab, let's say in the summer, 6 months ago, you may have felt like you didn't accomplish what you wanted to do because you felt like you were doing it on your own time. And it's very helpful to be moving through content with a community and feeling like you've got just some good accountability happening around that. And that's what you're going to find as we do the assignments together beginning November the 15th. So I want to go through that. And then I want to answer your questions. Okay, so I did start a thread a couple days ago, just asking what questions you had for today. So I'm going to make sure that anyone who did post a question below that thread gets their answer. Okay, and I'll come back and take a peek if there's anything we haven't gone through. So let's turn to our program book. And for those of you that are on live, I will come back and look at the questions when we do Q&A at the end. It's helpful for me if you write it in capital letters, okay? I just want to read a few of your comments as we get going. Toby said, I'm so bright today. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I have my hot pink water bottle. I'm surrounded by neon Post-its. Welcome to the world of HOLFIT. I love living bright. I do, and as you really feel the vibe and energy of the lab and the program, I love working in those punches of neon and just all the color. I'm all about it. But I do wear a very simple lip. You'll rarely see bright on my lips. Okay. Elin said, I've been doing this for 2 years. In the last round, I implemented more of the changes and it lasted throughout the year because of the quarterly check-ins. Excited to take this to the next level. That is one of the exciting updates this year, you guys, is last year, I offered Zoom coaching quarterly. It was an upgrade, right? Many of you participated in that. I think we had about 400 of you that did the quarterly coaching. Well, one of the big changes for this year is I decided, because of my great relationship with Facebook, I'm going to just leverage this even more. Kidding. I have a love-hate thing going on with Facebook right now, but I do love the power of community in the groups. I think, and you know, I love Zoom for some things, but there's a lot of those conversations I wanted to bring into the playground that we have here and keep them going. And what you're going to see this year is quarterly, I will be doing a live stream right here in this group that you guys will see all the dates for. I put them into the pinned post of our group. If you're looking for those, I can tell you real quick what those dates are. The pinned post, you guys, if you go to the discussion section of our Facebook group wall, that post is a good snapshot of what you need. So if you're doing a little calendaring today, I'm sure you are, and I'm sure you're using Google Calendar by now, right? Our Q1 quarterly session is going to be December the 29th. So what we do during these sessions is we take a quick look back at the last 3 months, and then we get ready to move forward and we cast our vision on that next quarter. So the Q1 live stream will be December to the 29th. Q2 is March 29th. Q3 is June 28th. And Q4 is September to the 27th. And in the unit section, I have the link for our calendar. If you want to go ahead and pull up the HOLFIT calendar, you'll see all those live stream dates in there. Those are all a Sunday. I will likely be streaming sometime around 2 or 3 Eastern. And of course, I'll give you the time as we get closer to that. While I'm talking about updates for this year, let me just see if there was anything else I wanted to make sure I went over with you. We've got some new sheets I'm going to show you. Yeah, okay. No, that was it. Okay, so let's get started by going through the program book quickly together. I'm not obviously going to spend too much time going through the details on each page, But I want to explain the vision behind this program and the sequence that it rolls in. I open up your program book with one of the quotes that's really left an impression on me by John Irving. It says, "Create the life you love and have the courage to live it." This program is about having the courage to live the life that you know you're here to live, without dilution, without the voice of other people constantly encouraging you or causing you to look around at what everyone else is doing. This is about reducing the noise and distractions in your life so that you can move powerfully in the direction of your purpose with clarity, with that courage to really walk out that life you know you're here to live. This is about protecting your life force so that you can live and give your best, not giving your energy out to everyone and not giving your energy and time to everything that you could, but really getting clear on where you know you're here to impact and staying in that lane and going deep on that. Because the reality is, the world will pull you in a million directions every single day. That's otherwise known as social media. You can come online every single day and have a million people telling you what you should be doing or how you should be acting or what you should be thinking and saying, and enough already. Let's get clear on who we are, who we know we're here to be, and how we know we're here to lead our life. This is about strengthening your ability to focus and really move the needle this year in your life in some key areas, creating without distraction and seeing what happens when you do. It's very exciting work, you guys, to be able to go into a year and to work with your goals and to say to your goals, I'm going to show up as the clearest, brightest, strongest version of myself. This is about leading yourself. How many of you here have the responsibility of leading little humans in your home? Or perhaps you have a team that you have been gifted the opportunity to lead. One of the greatest gifts this program will give you is a much deeper sense of connection to yourself and leading yourself so that you can lead other people. We skip this at times. We skip this step where we ask for more, where we write these goals for ourselves and we pray for more. We ask for more abundance and more wealth and a bigger following and more community and more. And when we do that without pausing to really have the foundation and infrastructure in place to lead ourselves, to lead our health, to lead our time, to lead our mind. When we don't have that in place, but we're wishing for more and asking for more, we will face resistance. Okay, and so this program is vital to the opportunity you have to have more, especially if you're in a position as a parent or as a leader to really take something and work with it and create something that doesn't exist. It's really exciting work. This is about asking what else is possible in our life. A good leading question when you are getting into the nitty-gritty of the goal setting and casting your vision for 2020, a real simple question that you can ask yourself is, if anything was possible, what would I do in this area? And when we get to the dream wheel, we'll look at those 4 realms. But if anything was possible, if you had no limits on yourself of what you could create, of the life that you could live, what would that look like? That's the special sauce. That's what you're wanting to tap into in this program, because you have that vision for yourself and in your life because it is yours. And the more that you cut out the world and reduce that noise and all the distractions and all the voices of everyone else telling you what you should do, the more you do that, the clearer you can hear your own voice. This is about elevating the world through elevating our own world. Now this, I opened up with that quote about having the courage to live your life. Here's what's up. So many of us, I would say all of us here, because we have access to a device and Wi-Fi and are in this program, we were able to invest in this. We all have the opportunity to upgrade in areas of our life. And what I mean by that is to step fuller into our purpose. But one of the most popular forms of sabotage that we see in humans and leaders at all levels, and there's no discrimination of income earnings here, okay? It does not matter how free we may think we are at times because we have a certain amount of money in our bank account. What we need in our life and what we need more human beings doing is stepping so brightly and fully into their purpose that there is a calm confidence about the work that they know they're here to do. That you're not shaken when somebody judges you or says something or tries to tell you you should be going a different way. You are unmovable, unshakable, because you are so obsessed with the direction that your life is going in, and you're so clear on what that looks like. So let's continue past that first quote. In the beginning of your ebook, you'll see a table of contents. You'll find a program overview video that I recorded last year. This essentially is an updated version of that as we go through this. You'll also find the program video in audio form. Whoa, just had some weird curl life going on there. It's linked through SoundCloud for you there. At the beginning, I go through a few quickies, making sure you're in our Facebook group. Obviously you are if you're seeing this. I give you the link to subscribe to our lab love notes. You're likely subscribed through your purchase of the program, but if you want to click through that real quick and just make sure that the correct address is there, that will give you updates throughout the year, especially as we go through quarterly sessions together. But also when we do the lab assignments starting November 15th, I'll send out that note each morning in that time period through email as well. Okay, I give you some tools, helpful tools to download, because the first part of the program is about simplifying, taking a more minimal approach in how we do the do, clearing distractions and noise, doing a lifestyle cleanse, if you will. So I give you some great tools, free tools and paid tools at the beginning of the ebook to consider downloading. I give you a link to the lab, the Beautiful Life Lab shop, where we have some things to make it fun. I mean, if you like my sweater, you'll love the shop. All the neon things are in there. Just things that are going to, as you move through the creative process this year, especially starting on Friday together, this is going to be it's gonna excite you to want to do this work. The worksheets are fun, right? And when you throw in pops of neon and you've got the Sharpies going, and it just makes the process a lot more fun. Supercharged cacao recipe is there. One of the most popular routines that we get up to in the lab is the weekly ceremony. So for most people, it's a Sunday afternoon where you make yourself a nice mug of supercharged cacao, where you diffuse some specific oils. I know right now I'm just having a complete love affair with Siberian fir. That with sandalwood is gorgeous in the diffuser. So I give you some oils for creativity and deep work. I give you 3 music playlists created just for you in the lab, depending on what state you're moving into in your focus. So again, another thing you're picking up that I'm laying down right now is how do we call in those states of creative focus, or flow state, you may have heard it called. Another new one you may not have heard before is a state of eudaimonia. How do we call that in when we're sitting to do our best work? I love to look at ways to light up the senses. So when you think about what we're setting the tone in for our senses, what are we breathing in? What are we listening to? The music playlist can be helpful for that. What are we tasting, right? So in that moment, we're really locking in that creative flow. So the start of the book, so if you're looking at it right now, I go through the method, and really it works in this order. I don't want you to rush through this process. I also don't want you to skip the steps because they happen in a specific sequence. So the first area I'm going to encourage you to look at when we get to the assignments, and you guys can get a head start on this. If you know that you've got a busy weekend, for example, get a head start because I've given you the order we'll be going through the assignments here. But the first part of this process is understanding the story of your last year. So doing some great reflection exercises. I've given you a list of questions on page 22 of great questions to ask of your last year to understand what the challenges were, the highlights. What was your main focus this year? When you think about the realms, where was your growth the most this year? We have seasons in our life and seasons in our businesses. And I want you to, before we move forward, really reflect on that. Then we're going to cleanse, creating space before we create anything else. So going through that lifestyle cleansing menu and really thinking about all of the things that you could be doing and dumping it out of your mind and onto paper. So this is known as the parking lot. We're gonna go through that in lab 4. Before we get to that parking lot, you'll notice the very first assignment we do together is tracking our time. I've actually spread that out over the course of a week because ideally I'd like you guys to track for a whole week using the worksheets to see exactly where the 168 hours you're given each week are going. Because from that place, we can have a good, honest look at it and say, okay, interesting. I didn't think I was watching as much TV or browsing social media as much as I was. Now, what am I going to do about this? This is it, and we all have these areas that are taking up our precious time that we don't want to have them going to anymore. When we get into some of the worksheets around goal setting, we get into this halfway through the labs. So after we've done the time tracking and we've gone through and we've scrubbed and cleansed various areas and we've reflected, then we're ready to cast. So that's midway through the lab assignments. We cast our vision. We begin by working on the 4 realms. We think about the 4 areas of our holistic life that we can move the needle in. And we think about all the things we could be doing and we narrow it down to 3 or 4. There's a reason for that because we want to have movement in 12 areas this year, simple areas. And so when you have 4 realms and you've outlined 3 to 4 things, 4 at the most, I'm really want you to think of 3 only, then you have movement in these 12 areas throughout your year. Then we blueprint a weekly design and a daily design for ourselves that's going to support us in accomplishing these things. So we really, and again, this is why the time tracking is so important because we want to have a good understanding of what a typical day in our life is looking like. And not only that, but if you track for 7 days or at least 3 days, then you're going to be able to see the patterns that exist and really identify what changes need to be made. After we've done all the lab work together, you guys, then it's about living it out, walking it out. And this is why the quarterly coaching is really helpful because we can check in with each other every 3 months to see how things are tracking. So again, if you want to get a head start, I would flip to page 22 and start going through those questions and do some reflective exercises before we start creating. Okay, so that'd be a good place to start. Now, the next few pages are good to know things, understanding where our energy is going, boundary work, understanding the concept of deep work through this lab, that state of eudaimonia, thinking about where you do your best work when you sit to do it. I've given you on page 33 a checklist for setting up your space, your work area for flow state. So my office, this would be it for me. I have a couple of zones in my home that I go to for specific reasons. When I come into this space, I have a very clear desk, clear area around me. I've got my oils that I like to diffuse. I have a speaker for specific music. And like I said, my desk is very clean and clear so that when I come into this space, it signals to myself, to my brain, this is a distraction-free zone. This is where I do my best work. This is where I do my creating. This isn't where I come and sit and browse what everyone else is doing on social media, for example. I have a space in my home where I can do that, right? But the point of this is when you get to this eudaimonia section, pages 30 through 33, it's really setting yourself up with these specific zones so that you are clear that when you are in this chunk of your day, this is what you're doing, okay? Pages 34, 35 go into cleansing activities, lifestyle cleansing activities. Then we get into the alchemy section. So this is where we get into some tutorials, okay? So this starts on page 36 and runs through till page 47. So here, I'm going to be referencing these tutorials when we get into our lab work, but totally get a head start if you're perusing the ebook and you want to watch these videos. They're pretty short, but these are the specific areas you want to be looking at improving the efficiency of to get them working better for you so that you're not a slave to them. And if you join me for Life Scrub, if you did that mini program, the heart of Life Scrub is within these pages, okay? So for example, the happy kitchen. I give you very practical ways to have your kitchen humming and creating that health and happiness in your home. Then we go into the happy phone. So I give you 5 cool phone hacks for cleansing this area so that your phone is not running your life, so that this can truly be a device that serves you in the way that it was meant to. There is an opportunity cost to a lot of the things that we use in our life, and I would say the biggest drain is our phone. It came with all these promises. When we first got our smartphone, we thought, oh, this is awesome. It's going to save me so much time in the long run. I'm going to be able to check email on the go and reply to people really quick through text and all this stuff, all these stories we believed. And yet what happened? It became something that just completely has and is running our life at times, right? And there's times where we have to be like, whoa, I need to change some things. And of course, the iPhone now will tell you how many hours you're spending a day using it, right? Not to call it iPhone only. This is not an iPhone problem. This is our own problem, right? This is why we need to get a grip on this. So the happy phone tutorial walks you through some key ways to do that, okay? And again, all of these are worked into the assignment. So you don't have to go through all this right now, but if you want to get a head start, you totally can. The happy inbox is next. So I go through some ways to really get your inbox working for you. How to have that state of inbox zero. It does exist, and I teach you how to do that. I also give you a few extra videos this year in the updates, how to create an automated drip email sequence, for example, is in there. Then we get into the happy calendar. So I teach you about Google Calendar. Now, there's always like 50-50. You're either somebody who loves a paper calendar or you like the digital version. They both can have benefits, but I would say to really get your tools working for you, if you're a paper calendar lover, I want you to try using Google Calendar for 30 days. To see if this eases up some of the kinks in the hose for you where you're forgetting things, or if you want something that just becomes a more automated process so that you can optimize better, then a virtual calendar such as Google Calendar is best. Now, I suggest Google Calendar because there's a lot of other ways to utilize it to maximize that efficiency. But of course, there are other ones. And if you're already using one you love, then maybe you just try Google Calendar for a week, see if it makes a difference for you. So that's the last video tutorial to go through in that section. Once you get to page 47, this is your lab playbook. This is where you're going to find all of your worksheets. And again, they're all linked for you in the units of our Facebook group, so you can find what you're looking for quickly. One of the new updates for this year is we've taken all of the worksheets and we've digitized them. And through that process, we also invented the word digitize. So again, a lot of you will find this process helpful to have it printed in a binder so that you can see everything, but I do recognize that some of you prefer to fill it in digitally, okay? So you've got that option this year. And maybe what you do is you start off pen to paper, and then as we move forward through the weekly and quarterly labs throughout this year, you might want to do the digital version. So you'll find those links on page 48. If you're wanting to print everything you need all at once, when you open up the playbook, which you'll see is password protected, that password is there in the ebook for you. When you open up the playbook, you can click the button to print all the sheets. And it's a total PDF package. And then you can print however many copies. I give you exactly what you would be needing of each one there on page 48. Okay, so then on page 49 through 52, we get into some time conversations, the importance of being decisive, the importance of understanding just from a dollar per hour perspective, how much you're paying yourself as a business owner. I know many of you are business owners. So what are you paying yourself to do various things in your business and around your home? So this leads into a conversation around optimization. So that starts on page 53, where I teach you about the optimization schedule of once you've tracked your time, which is the very first assignment we do, then you look at that and you run everything you're doing through this optimization cycle of automation, delegation, and elimination. So you look at everything that you're doing, everything that you could be doing, and you ask some questions of it. Okay, so I take you through automation areas to look at, ways to take your ever-growing list and chunk it down so that more of those things are just happening without you having to spend any more time going forward making decisions on those things, ways to have that happening for you. The second area is delegation. So I'm encouraging you in this area to look at where you can ask for help, where you can pay for help. Many of you are at that cusp where you're feeling like, oh my gosh, if I only had an extra 2 hours a day. And the crazy part with, especially with hiring somebody to join your support team, is it looks sometimes on paper like, oh, that's gonna hurt to have to invest in paying somebody to help you in your business, for example. But if you know that through doing that, you can free up your time to do your best work, where you enter your flow state zone and you create and you connect and you really put a focused 1 or 2 hours into moving your business forward, you know the payoff of that in the long run. And honestly, one of the areas I talk about in here that I think is really important for us all to look at is how can we get more help around the home before we start hiring in our business. This can be an easy one for a lot of you, because some of you might be thinking, oh, I can't hire somebody in my business because I do everything perfect. So how am I going to hire somebody to do what I do? That's not true, but and I've learned that. I'm at fault for thinking that, for sure. But in your home is where you could look at, okay, if you don't enjoy folding laundry, for example, and you do the math and you figure out that you're earning right now based on how many hours of quality work you put into your business that you own, let's say you determine that you're actually earning $25 an hour in your business based on how many hours of quality work you put in. You're paying yourself $25 an hour to fold laundry. So could you bring in a student to do that once a week for you? Maybe you bring them in, they come into your house for 4 hours and they fold the laundry, they do some meal prep, you look at where you can take things off your list. So this section goes into more of that. I remind you that if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant in your business, okay? The third cycle of optimization is elimination. So there's a lot of things that we all put pressure on ourselves to do in our business, in our life, especially as mothers, if you're a mother. And I really want you to look at everything that you think you're supposed to be doing and ask some questions of it and really get real about whether these things are creating or supporting you in creating the life that you really want to be living. And this is where those social expectations and pressures can come in, and you need to unpack this and think, okay, you know what? It's time for this to come off. This isn't serving us anymore. And you get a real clear picture of that when you do the time tracking, you guys. After, and only after, you've done things in that order, it's time to cast your vision on the upcoming year. This is where you'll find the exercises starting on page 60, where we talk about the dream wheel and how we drop our dreams into that wheel. We complete the 4 realms worksheet. Through that, then we have a clear picture of what's in the circle going forward. I have to share something with you, and I'm gonna talk more on this in the podcast and throughout this year in various ways. Our boundaries are so important today more than ever. When I was, a couple weeks ago, I went to a mastermind session that Liz Gilbert was speaking at. And I'm sure you've heard of her before. One of the books she's written is Eat, Pray, Love, Big Magic. She has a new one that just came out called City of Girls. She said this thing during her talk that was so simple and helpful when it comes to understanding the importance of boundaries in our life. And she talked about how okay, for some reason the video cut out, so I'm going to keep on going. I'll patch these together. So she talks about how in many areas of faith, religion, in many texts, old texts, if there was anything that you were looking to protect in your life, you would simply draw a circle around it. And she suggested during this talk that women are never really taught about the importance of boundaries in their life. We're taught to be martyrs, right? We're taught to, when somebody hurts you, just accommodate them, or someone hits one cheek, you turn the other cheek. There's a lot of biblical teachings in this way, right? And so she talks about how if you want to protect something, simply draw a circle around it. And when she said that, I thought, oh, that's so cool, because when we dream drop in the lab, we literally put things into the circle that we are fiercely protecting, okay? And so when you think about the dreams and the I am statements that you write into that dream wheel, I want you to think about, of all of the things that you could be doing this year, you're literally drawing a circle around what is most important. Everything in this wheel, you're going to protect very fiercely as you go throughout this year, okay? So then after you have that wheel done, I'm inviting you to create a virtual vision board. So these are so easy to do these days. The reason I love this activity is because you can make that your desktop computer. So the desktop image on your computer, right? So you can have your beautiful vision there every time you come in to do your best work. Okay, then on page 66, you'll find the quarterly worksheets. This is what you'll use throughout the year as we come together to do our live stream, where you'll do a quick review of the last quarter and then cast your vision on the next 3 months. I talk about the CEO day and the importance of that, whether you are a CEO or not. This is an important day. If you're a mother, you're the CEO of your home, okay? If you're a student, you're the CEO of your future, okay? So I want you to treat yourself as the CEO of your life, okay? Then weekly planning is on page 68. So I give you a little backstory on the importance of the weekly ceremony. There you'll find the week by design sheet, which again, we'll do in the assignments together. You'll find the review of last week's sheet and the weekly lab. The weekly lab, you guys, will be the most utilized worksheet that you'll have this year, because you're working on that 52 weeks a year. And this process becomes very simplified the more you do it. You won't need this worksheet after a month of doing it, really, but it's helpful to have pen to paper with that. What else? And then the daily design. So really creating a blueprint for most days that's going to support you in creating and living the life that you want to live. Okay, so for example, let's say your health is on your heart for this year. You really want to move the needle in your physical body, in your physical health. Then I want you to think about your day by design and think, okay, what needs to happen in order for that to happen? Or what needs to go? And what do you need to say no to in order to make this more of a priority? So you're welcome to do this, to tweak this throughout the year too, obviously. But what you really want to do is have a clean, fresh start with your daily blueprint heading into the new year. I also gave you a sheet this year if you want to do one with your kids. It says it's called Kids Day by Design. So if you think about your kids and the schedule they have and the things that are going to support their little bodies in leading themselves and in living a healthy life, then you can map that out there. 2 new worksheets you'll find this year in the package is around monthly planning. One of them is the monthly health plan. If you joined me for when I did the overview of new products that doTERRA released this year, I created this worksheet for that. It's also in several of my blog posts when I talk about the importance of living your day by design. So that's a monthly health plan you can use going forward to think about your health and little shifts you want to make that create big shifts in your health. So that's a new one. For those of you that are doTERRA business owners, I've also included a monthly doTERRA activity tracker. Okay, so obviously both of these are optional, but they're both new. I wanted to make sure you saw them. And then on page 74, I talk about the quarterly live streams. I gave one of the new sheets this year because I saw a lot of comments throughout the year around just feeling overwhelmed at times or not, you're trying to make progress in certain areas of your life, and we don't, sorry, one second, here we go. We don't always do that, and we can feel frustrated with ourselves and feel overwhelmed. So I've created a checklist of things to try when you're having a day that doesn't go so well. And we all have them. We have them weekly sometimes. Sometimes more days than not feel like they're not going well in our week. This is something to try when you just need to hit that reset button and exit the building and come back with a fresh perspective. What else? And then the lab assignments, you guys, you'll find on page 76, where I'm going to cover off right now, okay? So I want to take you on a quick just journey through what the days will look like starting November 15th. So again, if you want to click through the calendar link, you'll find that we're going to do 10 assignments together, and I've given you time after each assignment. So every other day, starting November 15th, we're going to do lab work, okay? So there's going to be a specific assignment you're doing each day. So for example, on November 15th, our very first assignment is going to be beginning the time tracking and watching the phone, the happy phone tutorials and cleaning up our phone. So you're going to have 2 days to do that. And then the second assignment would be on Sunday the 17th, where we continue doing our time tracking, and then we focus on scrubbing the calendar. So what you're seeing here is I'm bringing the program to life. I'm taking it, I'm helping you really get into the meat of the work and integrate it in an organized way. So we'll actually, as we begin on November 15th, and this is the plan going forward for every year, is to start November 15th. The assignments will run until December the 3rd is the last assignment. And then you're going to want to have them all completed by December the 7th. Okay, so work on your own time with them if you need to. I'll be doing prizes for each lab. All you need to do is engage with the daily lab post. And again, there'll be one every other day right in the Facebook group, and I'll send out an email as well to make sure you have the heads up on the assignment. All right, let me take a quick water break, and then I'm going to come to your questions. Okay, because I got spliced here in between 2 videos, I'm going to try to just pull up on another device the questions that you posted. But let me come first to the questions that were submitted below the queue. So Donna asked about how to set up her binder with the worksheets, tips on what works best, and then a loose example of what the week might look like while working through the lab. So like I said, we run over the course of about 2 weeks doing the lab assignments. You have extra time this year, more of a buffer. So I would say give yourself 1 to 2 hours for each assignment. So whenever you're diving into a course like this, what you need to look at is, okay, when am I going to do that? Does it mean I'm getting up a little earlier each day? Or what are you saying no to honor the work? We all invest in programs here and there. And it's just so common to not actually follow through or do the program, right? So consider this, me grabbing your hand and saying, it's time, let's do this together. And here's when we're gonna do it. All you need to do is decide when that's gonna happen throughout the day. When it comes to printing the worksheets, like I said, you'll find the link and the password for our lab playbook where you'll find all of the worksheets there together, or you can access them in the units of our group. I've given you exactly how many you need of each sheet. One of the tips someone in our community shared is to have your sheets follow in the flow of how I have them listed. But once we get into 2020 and we're doing the work throughout the year, when you're going to work on a weekly lab, have the other facing sheet be the review of last week. So when you open your binder, you're seeing review of last week and you're seeing the weekly lab. So you can very easily do it. You can do that for the quarters as well. Quarterly review and quarterly lab. That way it's all there open in front of you. I would make if you have like a binder that has a clear insert cover, I would make the cover your dream wheel, where you have the very clear imprints of what you're focusing on this year and what you've decided are your main priorities that you're protecting, that you've got a boundary around. So like I said, give yourself at least an hour to do each lab, and I've spaced them out so you have 2 days to complete each one. And if you want to get a head start, you can now, or maybe on the weekends you have more time, you want to, move forward and accomplish a couple of labs at once, that's great too. Okay, Liz said, what worksheets or items should be done before the 15th? You don't have to do any before the 15th. So you can, if you want, and then once we kick off the work together on Friday, then if you've already done some of them, then all you need to do is engage below the lab post, and that's your entry into the little prizes I'm giving away. Gwen said, how do you store your products at home? You once described that you check your oils and products to order for your family. So kind of off topic of the lab, but again, I have a space in my home where I keep extras of the products we're going through. So the way that I want to actually make this something to consider as we talk about the lab is, if there are things that you know that you're purchasing all the time, rather than only having one of those things, have a space where you've got a little extra inventory of those things. So like toilet paper or that essential oil you're always running out of, have multiples. So, when you're placing that order once, and this is a habit that you'll come into through the lab, is when you're going to do something once, ask, how can you maximize this? How can you leverage this rather than, and you'll start to look at everything this way, like where you're never doing something once. You're thinking, how do I create a system of automation around this and efficiency? So back to Gwen's question, I have a little closet where I keep all of our health tools, extras that we're not using in the actual rooms of our home. And I always keep at least one extra on hand. So every month when I place, for example, my doTERRA order, I'm restocking that inventory, right? So I'm never running out of anything. Jenny said, what do I need to put in to be able to get an honest, real, meaningful amount out of the program? I'm a recovering perfectionist. A reality check will help me stay on track rather than getting lost to overwhelm and giving up because I can't do it all perfectly. So again, I think it's about priorities and thinking, okay, you've come into this lab, we're all here because we want to take more ownership of our life. If you don't do it now, will you do it on your own in the new year? I think that's the leading question. If your answer to that is probably not, then what I would look at is, where do you need to create, block off time in order to get this done? There's reasons for all of us why we don't do things we said we were going to do, but thinking we have to do it perfectly is a popular one. It's a very damaging one. So and it really holds us back at times. So what I would commit to is showing up for the work and doing your best with it. And it's really, like, for example, there's no perfect way to do your dream drop because it's your dreams. And if you're having a hard time thinking of what your dreams are, then don't rush the process. It'll come to you. And the more you reduce the noise and distractions coming in, again, the more you can hear your own voice. This is why we start off with the flow of that we look at how we can clean things up and move in with great clarity, setting our goals for this year. Caroline said, I've just joined and have to look through the stuff. The 168 hours timesheet I need to do. However, I'm traveling Thursday through Saturday, and Sunday is my son's birthday. So should I wait to fill in the timesheet until next week, even though the lab will have already started? You know what I would do is I would just start tracking your time now and keep it with you. What you do with the time tracker is you basically, ideally you carry it around with you throughout the day, because again, it's an intentional exercise that you're doing. But if all you can do with this process is plan to, at the very end of the day, reflect on where your time went as much as you can remember, then do that every day for 7 days. Start as early as possible, because ideally you want to have some days that are weekends, some days that are weekdays, so you get a real good consensus of where things are going. Kira said, in regards to the week by design, what are examples of themes per day? What does that mean to have themes to your day? So, great question. This is different for everybody. For example, if you own a doTERRA business, I know several of you do here, you want to think about, rather than sitting down at your desk each day of your working week to do work, think about all of the things that you could do in your business and assign a theme to each day of your week. So that, for example, when you sit down on a Monday might be your prepare day, where you're always preparing for that class you're going to teach on Wednesdays. Tuesday might be your inviting day or your connecting day, where you're connecting with all of your customers, you're inviting people to your class that's tomorrow. Wednesday might be your presenting day every single week. You know what I mean? So you think about everything you could be doing in your work and apply a theme. You can do this with your workouts. If health is a big priority for you right now, then think about your week and think, okay, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday is a strengths-based workout, and maybe Tuesday and Thursday you're just going for a walk or doing cardio. Maybe Saturdays is your yoga day. So it's really thinking about what your goals are and how you can set more of an intention around each day of the week. That's what the week by design is. Mackenzie asked a question about organizing finances. So one thing I encourage is that one of your automations in your calendar is a monthly money hygiene day, where you're looking at, and again, this is an area where you can look at, if you're doing something once, how do you automate it? Like, maybe can you set up automatic bills rather than going in and paying every bill every single month? How do you automate some of that process? Create a checklist for yourself where one day a month you handle the finances, or maybe someone else in your home takes care of that, but something that creates more ease there is how you want to organize that. It's different for everybody. But one thing I like about that is throughout the month, when I'm getting bills or invoices I have to pay or whatever, I snooze it in my inbox into a monthly finance day, so that when that day hits, then I'm dealing with all those things. All right, so that was it for the submitted questions. Let me come back to those of you that are here live. I'll probably need to pull up my other video that was streaming. Actually, you know what would be easier for me, you guys, because I can't see it here? If you could please post your question again into this new, fresh live feed. Putting it in caps is really helpful too. Hey, Kirsty, sorry. She said, how do you see the self-development, career, etc. goals in the dream wheel merging into the create/connect/consume/care time blocks? I'm not super clear on your question, but I'm trying to, okay, so how do you see the self-development and career goals? So self-development, I want to encourage you to look at where your time is going right now and think of trading time in for time that's going to actually grow your mindset and your development. So you mentioned the consume block. When you track your time, you're going to realize how many hours a day you're literally sitting and just consuming what everyone else is doing, or consuming Netflix, where it's not you growing in any way. It's just kind of being in a state of taking in what everyone else is giving you. Those are areas to look at to see, could you substitute a portion of that time towards personal development, something that's actually going to grow your mindset, something that's going to help you grow into the mind and the belief level that the leader you're becoming needs. So trading in, that's how I would look at that. Kira said, can you ask questions in each lab post? For sure. So I'll post the assignment every other day starting the 15th. Excuse me. And below that, you will want to engage through doing the assignment. But if you ask questions, the question won't be entered into the draw. But of course, you can ask questions. Okay, comments. I'm just scrolling through to find the questions. Kimberly said, I have a hard time determining the day tracker when it seems like every week has different activities. A field trip, a kid's having a bad day, grocery shopping, etc. How do I accurately track it? Great question. Now, I wouldn't let that hold you back from doing it. What I want you to do is track it for at least 3 days. If you can do 7, even better. But if you feel like your life is always changing, that's actually going to improve through the work of this lab, because as you start to reduce the noise and distractions coming in, you're going to be somebody who can make quick decisions. You're going to be somebody who really leads the day. And of course, the day's never going to go totally to plan. But when you are somebody who's leading that day and not in a distracted state, you're going to find that even when things need to pivot, it doesn't throw you off track. So maybe what you want to do is do the time tracking now, but maybe you do it quarterly this year until you've landed in a place where more of your life, more of your day is consistent. Liz, in regards to the CEO day, what's the purpose or goal of that? She said, is it to treat yourself, do a deep review? Yeah, I talk about the CEO day in the book, but that is the purpose, is to get out of the office, unplug from devices, and to just really sit with yourself, sit with your work sheets and really look at the story they're telling. Think about how things are going. It's a time for you just to take yourself out for a nice afternoon or a whole day if you can swing it, just to tap into some fresh energy as you look at, especially as you end one quarter and are heading into the next. Okay, don't see any other live questions there. Kirsty said, to be more clear, the clear categories of the dream wheel, how do they schedule into the clear power blocking categories you outlined in the calendar scrub? So this also works into your day by design, right? You want to do your day by design to identify, when are you going to consume what other people are feeding you? If you set parameters and boundaries around when you're going to consume social media, you're less likely to be in a state of distraction looking at it all day long. So the day by design fits into this, Kirsty, where you're setting up your day by design so that it supports you in moving the needle in those areas that you've outlined in your dream wheel. Okay. Okay. Any other live questions? We're coming up to 60 minutes together. Let me think if there's anything else I wanted to share with you. I think we went through it all. I did a copy live stream over to Instagram just now, because I know there's a lot of you that had questions. So this video is going to end in about 5 seconds. But I'm glad you guys were able to join in there. Are there any other questions you guys have in the live group? I'll wait for just a few more seconds. If not, then we're going to wrap up there. And like I said, if you want to go over to the units, start looking through the units to see all that's there, and then starting November the 15th, we're going to begin the assignments together and we'll work through them. You'll have every other day to complete them. I highly encourage you to jump in and join us as we do these together, because again, we always do more as a group and as a community than we are likely to do on our own and left to our own discretion to find the time. So just take a look at your schedule, this is really important work. And every year that you come into the lab and you join us in this work, you're going to find that the things that feel really heavy and hard this year that you're beginning are going to be very normal to you next year at this time. And that's a clear indication that you are upgrading in various areas of your life. This is a year for you of feeling more into your potential. Of again, asking what else is possible in areas and letting go of the stories you've told about things in the past, okay? So I'm really excited you guys are here, and welcome to all of you that are brand new, and welcome back to those of you that are ready to do this work again. I'll end the video here. I'll see you on Friday with our first assignment. Watch for that post in the group, and can't wait to dive into this with you guys.